cigarette smoking related illnesses is the #1 killer of African Americans.
The dangers of secondhand smoke. Next on Black Nouveau. Hello, welcome to Black Nouveau. I'm Milton Dockery.
And I'm Faith Colas. We'll have more on the problems caused by secondhand smoke in just a moment. Also on this edition, the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority is back in the mortgage business. We'll talk with WHEDA's Executive Director, Antonio Riley.
Muhib Dyer joins us with a preview of his new show, From Kings to Thugs to Presidents. And we'll hear about the history of some precious pearls.
But first, we look at the problem of secondhand smoke. African Americans suffer more tobacco-related deaths than any other ethnicity in the United States. Secondhand smoke plays a major part in lung cancer rates and a litany of other respiratory diseases within our community. Robin Cherry has more.
Hanif Chestnut doesn't smoke, but because of his exposure to secondhand smoke growing up in a family of smokers, the 29-year-old has developed several respiratory diseases.
Asthma, bronchitis. Currently I take Flovent and Albuterol. Them are asthma medications for me coming up around secondhand smoke.
In order to avoid further health complications, Chestnut has devised a strategy.
I pretty much go to smoke-free restaurants. Don't be around people that smoke. If you smoke, you can't get in my car.
Chestnut thinks education is the key to getting the word out about the dangers of secondhand smoke.
We shot an ad at G's Clippers. The slogan was, your cut is clean, what about the air? You know, they had me for the poster boy for the campaign ad. I just got one of those faces, I guess. It really was like, your haircut is clean, but how about the environment you're around? Is that clean? Based upon restaurants and you know how you go into facilities that smoke and you walking in there thinking, then the smoking section, smoke can't get to me. Smoke travels. Air is all around, oxygen, you breathe it in regardless.
Dr. Stephanie Pruitt is the director of the Vincent Family Resource Center.
I don't think people understand that secondhand smoke, how it's related to sudden infant death syndrome, how it's related to asthma in children, and ultimately those who are vulnerable by having asthma. I don't think we understand the effects of it causing future cancer, high blood pressure, heart disease, which is, by the way, the #1 killer of African Americans in total of alcohol and drugs, car accidents, and other illnesses combined together. Cigarette smoking related illnesses is the #1 killer of African Americans.
Adrian Brown used to be a smoker until his 2 little girls asked him to stop. Their reasons were simple.
I didn't want him to die so early. So he can die, and I don't want my daddy to die, and that will be bad.
So were you real happy when he stopped smoking?
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
Happy.
How happy?
Really proud.
It was a struggle for him to fulfill his daughter's wishes.
It was very difficult because I actually tried stopping several times, and you know, I'd go for a week and wouldn't have a cigarette, and next thing you know, we're having an event, and I'm at the event and everybody's smoking, and there you go, you're back again. So I tried to stop smoking a dozen times or more before I actually gave it up completely.
Brown also says he had several other reasons to stop lighting up.
I didn't want to have them go through the same thing I went through as a kid, with smoke being in the house all the time, and every time the smell of smoke being in your clothes, and you're coughing, and it was just something that I didn't want to pass on. It wasn't a legacy that I wanted to pass down to my children, which is the reason why I decided when my oldest son was young, he developed asthma. He was allergic to smoke and cats and bugs and stuff like that. So we weren't allowed to smoke in the house from the doctor. So after that, I couldn't smoke in the house anymore. I was like, well, I might as well give it up, because I'm not finna start just doing something, having to go out of the way to do an action. I mean, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Plus that, I was spending money that I could be spending on something much more valuable. So I just decided, I'm just gonna give it up now.
There needs to be more done at the grassroots level to get those who are low income families and those who are unemployed to understand how this actually affects them in their pocket, because eventually they do get sick and it can become very costly, and they're not aware of that, and most times they don't have the proper insurance to help them along as other populations do.
If you would like more information on secondhand smoke, you can contact the Vincent Family Resource Center at 414-374-0109.
Where we're from, there are two paths. The path to the jailhouse and the path to the White House. The path to failure and the path to success. On this day, we choose success. And now is the time. You see, now is the time. Not tomorrow, the next day, next month, or next year, today. The perfect day. Perfect moment for us to realize our dreams. All obstacles will be moved out of our way. We will triumph by any means, not someday, but right now is the time. You see, your past doesn't matter anymore right now. And it can't hold you back anymore right now. And it don't matter that your mama failed you or your pops left you. Disappointment is behind you. But if you look ahead down the road of life, the city of happiness is just over the hill. All you gotta do is pay attention to the signs, cause right now is the time. And it don't matter that you've been called out of your name, called helpless, hopeless, dumb, lazy, a loser, nobody that will never amount to nothing. You've been broke down by put downs. Now it's time for you to get up. Keep your head up, chin up, back straight, and poke your chest out. You see, they talk is cheap, but what you say about yourself, priceless. So say that you mighty, say that you awesome, say that you talented, say that you gorgeous, say that you gifted. Right now is the time. Not tomorrow, the next day, next month, or next year, today. The perfect day, perfect moment for us to realize our dreams. All obstacles will be moved out of our way. We will triumph by any means, not someday, but right now is the time. So pull the covers off your head right now. Get out of the bed right now. Depression has no more power over you right now. Dry your tears right now. Open the door and say hello to the new world right now. There is no better day than today. Life is not something you wait on, it's something you make. And you can't wait on no job, or you can't wait on no relationship, and you can't wait on no money, or when the time is right, or when your drama somehow mysteriously goes away. Life is not something you wait on, it's something you make. Make it happen today. Somebody is waiting to write a movie about how powerful you are. But the screen is blank because you ain't lived the story yet. A little ghetto child goes to sleep and dreams absolutely nothing. You never provided the inspiration. They can't put your poster of greatness on the wall if you don't take the picture. So guess what? Take the picture. Take the picture. Take the picture. Right now is the time. Not tomorrow, the next day, next month, or next year, today. The perfect day, perfect moment for us to realize our dreams. All obstacles will be moved out of our way. We will triumph by any means, not someday, but right now is the time.
Mahib, that was a superb performance. Why produce From Kings to Thugs to Presidents?
Well, the play is it's a human story, the highs and lows of everyone in humanity, but specifically African American males. The media has oftentimes portrayed us as criminals and thugs, and I think it's very important to send that message that we have greatness in us and we have a power, triumphant power within us. So that's the message that I want to get out to the community.
Where is the play and when?
The play is February 20th, 7 p.m. at the Miramar Theater, 2844 North Oakland. For ticket information, you could call 414-788-1928, and you could purchase them at G's Clippers 1 and 2.
Thank you, Mahib, for joining us.
Thank you.
Milwaukee's 7th Annual Daddy's Daughters Dance is scheduled for Saturday, February 19th. The event is co-sponsored by the MPS Recreation Department and the Milwaukee Fatherhood Initiative. Here's a reminder of last year's event.
That when I was a child, before life removed all the innocence.
Well, it's a daddy-daughter dance, and the dance is basically designed to give the dads an opportunity to spend some quality time with their young ladies of their lives.
It's important because a daughter's relationship with her dad usually kind of is a telltale sign of the type of man she'll end up marrying or spending the rest of her life with.
And so on a snowy Saturday in February, dozens of dads and daughters came together at North Division High School for an evening of dancing, food, games, and bonding.
This is our first official date. You know, I just want to show them some different things and just want to grow up right, you know, with some options in. And this is our prerequisite in showing them how they should be treated on the evening out. I think that's important because I just think that we have a lot of not only young ladies but young men that are not given the proper examples and the right requirements that they should be holding their potential mates up to. So this is a beginning process of learning and teaching my daughters how and what to expect. I have two daughters and I have a deceased son who passed at 4 months, and my favorite job is being daddy.
It's real important because, you know, I get to dance with my daughter and I get to meet other fathers that are with their daughters, and you see a lot of different people that are also, they're going through struggles, but at the same time, they're not giving up.
To dance with my father again.
For ticket information, call 414-475-8811.
The importance of celebrating our history is that the knowledge of our past enables us to shape our future. Recently, the Epsilon Kappa Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated found a unique way to present their history. Liddy Collins, herself a member, has that story.
If I can help somebody as I pass.
I think it was just a small group of women that got together, and we playing a lot of social things that happened, and we met in homes.
Oh, son, if I can show somebody.
This is a celebration detailing 60 years of history for one of Milwaukee's Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated chapters, Epsilon Kappa Omega. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority itself celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2008.
Epsilon Kappa Omega chapter has been a moving force in the city of Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, and the nation for 60 years, carrying out service and scholarship.
They chose to tell the story through a pageant with singing, dancing, and dramatic readings. Janelle Elder Green, the executive director, said now there is documentation of where the chapter was 60 years ago and where it is today.
There's an old saying that if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So history, to me, is a crucial part of keeping your culture alive. And it's up to us to make that history, make it possible for others to enjoy, not only now, but for years to come.
To get this production done, they partnered with the Wisconsin Humanities Council and employed a professional playwright-director, Sherry Williams Parnell.
Women who were women of vision, who were women of service, Black Pearls, and using that song as a undertone for the piece. We will start out with the young girls and looking at generation to generation, passing on a tradition of service.
Black pearl, pretty little girl, you've been in the background much too long.
The importance of the message has to do with longevity. It's not just 10 years or 30 years, 60 years and beyond. You have to know, as in the African, West African phrase, Sankofa, you must know where you've been to know where you're going. The women of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, they have a legacy. And now through this production, we're visiting the history, and now they know where they must continue to do. The work must continue. So the new generations of women who will join the sorority will be able to look back at the history and know, this is our purpose, to serve mankind. That's the motto, to serve mankind, and by merit and by culture, understanding the culture, the African American culture, and American society, and how to contribute to it in a positive way.
During the 1950s, their first major project was canvassing Milwaukee neighborhoods in hope of rooting out the scourge of tuberculosis and sickle cell anemia. This spirit of service has been immortalized in a poem written by Francis Brock Starnes titled, "You've Been Wonderful to Us."
They came with a smile to give service to mankind. They brought patience, kindness, and knowledge to all. Their service was a happy convergence. They trusted God and shared our feelings. Thank you for being so kind and working with us. You've been wonderful to us. We love you and honor you.
Poet and retired teacher Frances Starnes is living history. She has several MPS schools named for her. Another of the early members said health issues were important then.
Here they had a health project that they would go around in the neighborhood, seeing that the children was getting the right kind of shots and things, stuff like this. And but mostly what they did at that time was things that they did within the chapter, because they had this health thing because the whole sorority had initiated this health project, the one we have down in Mississippi. So they would do things like this, and it was just a small chapter at that time.
Sherry Williams Parnell said it's important the history be told because it affects Milwaukee and Wisconsin.
Before people even saw sickle cell anemia as an important health issue for African Americans, the women of Alpha Kappa Alpha were door to door, went door to door to find out if people had been screened for sickle cell anemia and tuberculosis. And this was happening during the 50s, before there was even a national emphasis on sickle cell anemia and even tuberculosis in the African American community.
Elder Green said many of our organizations are dying off, leaving no written history.
We're hoping that what we're doing will inspire others to contact the Wisconsin Humanities Council and apply for the grants that are there. And if you need assistance with that, and keep your history so that our children and their children to come will have a record of the organization.
I hope the audience understands that In Milwaukee, African American women have a long history, a positive history. And we read the headlines today and you would think that everything was doom and gloom, but we have a joyful history in this sorority and other organizations. We need to investigate and find out the most positive aspects of our presence in the community and highlight this and share this with our young women so that they know that there's something to rejoice in, they have something to celebrate. We need to celebrate one another more often.
Then my living shall not be in vain.
There is good news and bad news on the economic front. According to a recent report, the second wave of the foreclosure crisis had hit Milwaukee. On the positive side, WHEDA is back in the mortgage business. And I'm pleased to welcome Antonio Riley, WHEDA's Executive Director. Mr. Riley, welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Riley, first and foremost, what does WHEDA do and not do?
Well, WHEDA, each state has what you call a housing finance agency created by the federal government back in the early 70s. And they operate independently of state government. We don't use any kind of tax dollars. We're independent of the government itself. We function primarily like a bank. Our mortgage portfolio is about $3.5 billion. If we were a private bank, we'd be the second largest private bank in the state of Wisconsin. We do single-family loans. We do multifamily lending. We also do business lending. We are now operating the New Market Tax Credit Program, and we have the largest portfolio of any public or private company in the state for asset management for HUD properties as well.
How has the current economic crisis hindered your ability to do your job?
Well, you know, it's kind of like you feel like you're gripped by forces that you have no control over. As you know, about a year or so ago, we had to stop temporarily doing single-family lending, not because we had done anything wrong in the financial markets, because a lot of the other folks who interact with our agencies were up to a lot of other things in the financial world and got into a world of trouble. And what happened to us, that impacted our ability to sell mortgage tax-exempt bonds on Wall Street at a rate that would be competitive. And so we made the decision to cease lending temporarily until we had a chance to have the market started to coming back and to have some sort of help from the Treasury Department. And just recently, we serve on our National Board of Directors. We lobbied very hard in Washington for the Treasury to take some steps to assist housing finance agencies like WHEDA to get back to lending again. And they just recently purchased over $325 million in bonds from us. And so now we'll be back to the market real soon.
Now, before you build in a certain area, do you have to consult the Southeastern Wisconsin Planning Association or SUAPAC?
No, we don't. Okay. We don't. But what we do at WHEDA, we do interact with the local governments in a lot of detail. Okay. We have what we call a community development department. Okay. That's like our field staff. Gotcha. Every single county is covered. Our folks are on the grounds meeting with local officials on a regular basis. But no, we don't have to consult with them. Okay. No.
What kind of help does WHEDA offer homeowners or renters who've lost their homes to foreclosure?
Well, let me put it this. First of all, when you think about the foreclosure rate in our state, we are used to writing in the good days about $10 million in single-family mortgages a week, about 4,000 to 5,000 mortgages a year, about $500 million a year. We've been doing that for the past 4 or 5 years or so, and our foreclosure rate on that portfolio has been below 1%, and now it has just got up to about 1% so far. And the foreclosure rate for all mortgages statewide is some 3.65%. So give you an idea of how well we actually do it. But as a result of that, what we are doing, a lot of foreclosure mitigation across the state of Wisconsin, making sure that we are helping people to identify the signs when they're heading toward foreclosure.
For an example?
For example, we have what we call the HOPE hotline, 1-888-995-HOPE. Okay. That's a network of lenders and realtors and other mortgage professionals who have been certified working with WHEDA, that someone can call that number if they're having trouble paying their mortgage. And on there we have credit counselors who can work with them, and if they need additional service, we can refer them to additional experts as well. And we had a situation here in Milwaukee where a woman, she was just about 5 days away from a sheriff's sale of her property. She called the HOPE hotline. We were able to work with her lender, and got her into a fixed rate mortgage, and kept staying and allowed her to stay in her home. So our efforts have been on the education side, and it has been on developing new products. For example, we have a product right now that we developed with Fannie Mae that will enable folks to purchase and to rehab foreclosed properties. So given the current market, this is a great opportunity to buy, and we have products help you do that.
Briefly, you're in the mortgage business again. What are the guidelines this time around, briefly?
Well, the guidelines have changed for us somewhat, well, a lot, because of what has happened in the marketplace. For example, higher credit scores and that sort of thing. One great thing, though, the new product that we're coming out with, you don't have to have what we call private mortgage insurance, which helps us to make that mortgage monthly payment even more affordable.
Briefly, what steps are you taking to help people prevent foreclosures?
Well, as I mentioned, the HOPE hotline is a part of that. It's all part of our financial literacy and educational efforts as well. And we do that very aggressively with some wonderful local partners here, United Community Center, Select Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Fair Housing Council. All those folks are our partners in the foreclosure mitigation effort. And to date, since we started that effort, about 43,000 families statewide have gotten their mortgages reworked as a result of reaching out to us. So it's important that people understand, reach out, don't just sit back and say, I have to bear down and deal with this on my own.
And briefly, how does one qualify?
Oh, for our programs?
Yes.
For our programs, there are income limits and purchase price limits set by the federal government. I'm proud to tell you, though, that as a result of the increased help that we're getting, our purchase price limits are going up between 10 and 13% in income guidelines statewide, so that's a real good thing.
If someone wants more information, how can they get that?
They can call us they can go to www.weta.com and they can call us there, or they can call us at in our Milwaukee office or our Madison office.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Oh, you bet.
And that wraps up this edition of Black Nouveau.
Remember, in the coming week, do something to expand your world. Good night.
Good night, and most important, be safe.